Once I've created a solver model, I can save it to use again, and it is saved as part of the worksheet. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the Data tab, back to Solver, and there's the model that we just created. So I'm going to go ahead and click Load and Save, and the Load and Save Model dialog box shows up, and it tells me to save. Select an empty range with the following number of cells. So I'm going to come down here to A32 and select A32 through A37. I'm going to click on Save. It goes, Solver saves the information for the model right in the worksheet. So I can now close the Solver Parameters dialog box. I can add a label to that. I think I'll call it the Maximum Net Income Model. And I'm going to go ahead and format that with the 20% accent 3 cell style. Okay, so I've got one solver model here. I'm going to go ahead and add a second solver model. And for this one, in the original one, we're working on maximizing the net income. So for this one, I'm going to ask Solver to maximize the total revenue. So I'm going to change this to C9, the objective, and I'm going to leave the variable cell and the constraints alone. I'm going to go ahead and click Solve. I'm going to keep the solver solution, and there's our maximum total revenue. So I'm going to go ahead then and save that particular solver model as well, so that I can demonstrate to you how to load a solver model. So this is the maximum revenue model. And again, I'm going to go ahead and format that with the 20% accent 3 cell style. Then I'm going to go back to the Data tab, back to Solver. I'm going to click on Load and Save, and I'm going to go ahead and click Save, and there is the maximum revenue model. And I'm going to go ahead and close the dialog box. So currently the maximum revenue solver model is in effect in this worksheet. But if I want to change that back to the maximum net income model, I would go back to Solver, click on Load and Save, click Load. Oops, I'm going to cancel that. I got ahead of myself. I'm going to click on Load and Save. So I need to select the range where I saved the maximum net income model. And then click Load. I do not want to merge it with the current model. I want to replace the current model. So now my original model has been loaded. You can see that the objective cell is back to C29. I'm going to click Solve and click keep OK to keep the solver solution. So that's how you load and save your solver models. I do want to give you a hint to carry with you as you do the case problems. When you're setting your constraints, if you're setting one of your constraints as an integer or a whole number, you need then to come to the options and uncheck Ignore Integer Constraints. Otherwise, when you run the model, even though you've told it that this cell needs to be an integer, it will ignore it unless you change that option. Okay, so that's it for Solver.